The Gallagher Shots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Right, we're back with the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel, and we're here to preview Benfica at home Tuesday night. It's going to be a big one in the Champions League. Games are coming thick and fast over the next couple of months, so we're going to be doing plenty of these, and you're going to be seeing a lot of these mugs right here. So strap in. I'm your host, Joe, and previewing this one with me today are Nickel and Daryl. Boys, thank you so much for joining me as we welcome Jose Mourinho's Benfica back to Mr. Robson's house. It's going to be a great one. There's a bit of history between these two clubs, and there's going to be a lot to talk about with respect to the forms of each team. So, yeah, let's get straight into it. Now, Daryl, I want to just get your vibe on this whole thing. How are you feeling going into this game? Because whilst our form's been a bit knackered, it's not been great. At the same time, I think there's plenty of optimism going into these Champions League games because of the difference in style that we have compared to the Premier League. So how are you feeling about this one, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I am positive going into it. I am a little bit miffed by what happened on Saturday at Brighton, but I've come to the point now where Brighton's just a bogey team and we just never seem to do well against them down there. And, you know, you mentioned there about the styles. I think the European style sort of suits us better at the minute. Saw how well Nick Baltimore did against Union back in Brussels a couple of weeks ago. He had a really good game. It sort of suits our pressing style and how we are quick on the transition and can break against teams. The slightly weakened back four is a concern after what happened at Brighton, because I think Dan Burn, it's weird. He had one of the best games you'll probably see, but he was still targeted and he still looked vulnerable at times as well from that side. And, you know, we'll talk about it. There's a couple of little niggles with the midfield three as well and about whether or not we should play them. But yeah, I mean, I'm also looking on the statistical side of things here and noting that Jose Mourinho has only won 3 games in his managerial career at St. James's. And he's never, I want to say he's never won a Premier League game at St. James's, but I'm pretty sure he did one with Spurs, so just ignore what I've just said there. But he has a really rotten record at St. James's when you consider it. So it's 13 games, 5 wins, 5 draws, and 3 defeats when Jose is visited. So we sort of got the upper hand in that respect. And, you know, it's Tuesday night under the lights. We know what happens when we get a good atmosphere going for a Champions League game midweek. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I think we'll probably have just enough to see a result out.
Nickel, so Daryl's mentioned there about the midfield three, and there's been one player in particular that's come under a lot of criticism recently. And I think it's probably fair. I mean, I love him to bits, but Joe Linton, he's not really been the Joe Linton of old that we're used to. And you could potentially put that down to the way that our team's evolving and the way that we're using the midfield in a different way with the likes of Tonali and Bruno, who are just a step above in terms of their passing and all the rest of it. Is it time that we'll maybe just give Joe Linton a bit of a rest on Tuesday and replace someone like a Miley who, I mean, on Saturday was pretty class. Like, he was really comfortable on the ball, assisted Voltemada. I mean, obviously Voltemada had a bit to do himself, but he's looked tidy. So, just a bit.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. But I mean, what do you think, mate? Like, do you think it's time like we'll give Joe Linton a rest, or I mean, is this the game for it?
Yeah, I know I've seen a lot of people suggesting that he should come out the team, but I don't think this is the game to do it in. I think Brighton on Saturday, was the time to do it, or maybe against Fulham in the next Premier League game could be the one to do some rotation. But I think for Champions League nights, you know, in the new format, they're just one-off games. You need your strongest 11 playing, and I would stick with that midfield three that has got us through a lot of good times. So, well, pending that Tonali can play, because obviously he's got a bit of illness at the moment, so hopefully he's okay for tomorrow. But
I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah, so if anyone's going to change, it's going to be Tonali. But we know Eddie Howe doesn't like to change too much, so I can't see him changing 2 out of the 3. So if Tonali can't play, I would expect it to be Joe Bruno and Miley maybe. But yeah, if he can play Tonali, I would just stick with the normal three. I would go with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, and Daryl mentioned this earlier about the play style that we have against the Champions League opposition. It's different, isn't it, to the Premier League in a lot of respects. It's, I suppose, a bit more end-to-end. There's the defenses maybe aren't as like rigid. So, I mean, in a way, it could probably like benefit us quite a bit, especially coming against these teams that, yeah, they may be in higher pots than us in the Champions League and how they did it, but you could argue that pound for pound, we are better than a lot of these teams that we're going to be playing in the early stages. And obviously, it's a different style of play. I mean, Jose Mourinho has famously been one to have a really solid defense as he had with the Chelsea in the 2000s and whatnot. But and we'll come on to Benfica in a bit, but they have been leaking a few goals, so we'll see. In terms of who else we're playing outside the midfield, I know that Eddie Howe loves to keep his centre-back pairing normally the same. And listen, the two lads have not done much wrong. I mean, Botman, you could argue, was at fault for the first goal at Brighton. And we've got Cher waiting in the wings here. I mean, hopefully he's not playing on the wing, although he could whack in a decent cross.
There might be time for that.
Direct. There might. I know. Wait, we'll get onto the wings in a bit. But for the centre-backs, are we prone to see maybe some rotation? And again, don't forget that this is the start of a massive couple of months for us in terms of the midweek games. The turnaround that we have is crucial, like absolutely massive. I think over the next 8 weeks, we'll have like 6 midweek games. So is it time that we'll start seeing a bit more rotation in the centre-back as well as like, you know, the wingers and as well as the centre-mids? Like, do you think that we're going to be seeing that, or do you reckon it's just straight up back four, done? Dan Burn, left back, done.
I think it's yes and no, because we you know, we've already mentioned how much Eddie doesn't like to change a winning team, and I know they didn't win on Saturday, but he has a formula, and then when he gets success with it, he likes to stick it out. But this is going to be as much of a test for Eddie as it is for everybody else on the pitch, because his management of the team now and how he manages the rotation of the squad is going to be crucial in this run of fixtures. And I think he's probably going to have to think really long and really hard about how he does this, because it is going to be, it can't be a repeat of 2 years ago where we had to be forced to play the same 11 for like 11 games in like a month. It's just not feasible this time around, and we're going to end up being worse off than what we are when we started. And I think I agree with Nicola actually, where this game isn't the time to do it, but by the time we get to the weekend game against Fulham, that's when I probably want to see some rotation. But again, we're also hampered by the fact that we're missing a couple of key players at fullback, so our options there are a little bit limited. I agree with what you're saying about Fabian Schär, though. I think I had a feeling he might have been told that he was left out against Brighton so he can play on Tuesday night. Whether or not he does is another matter, but I mean, he must be really chomping at the bit to get back on the pitch and playing, because he is one of our better, like he is a key player for. But again, the partnership of the future that was Chow and Botman has turned into the partnership for the now, because they've been absolutely outstanding. With like you say, obviously the little blip that Botman had on Saturday against Brighton, but then didn't everybody have a little bit of a blip in that game at some point? Apart from Nick Baltimore,
Big V
a filthy goal. Like, no, not with that filth. But yeah, I mean, rotation's coming, but I just don't think it's coming on Tuesday against Benfica.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like, Cher can't be kept on the bench forever. Like, and now that he's basically the only centre back that realistically would put on. I mean, Lascelles in an emergency, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. Like, I think they've done for the most part, those two centre backs, Chow and Botman, haven't really done much wrong. So I think it'd be a bit harsh to drop them. I mean, even if your rotation is a factor, you might just give Cher a few more minutes. Like, Benfica do play quite a high line, and I know how much Fabian can absolutely spray across, so a crossfield ball. So it might be tactically it could work out, but we'll see. We'll see. Right. Now I feel like this next one is one that I think we chat about it every single preview, and that's who do we start on the right wing. But I think in this one, it almost feels like a certainty that Alanga's going to start this one because of the minutes that, I mean, I don't know. I just feel, sorry, Murphy, I meant to say, not Alanga. Murphy is shooing because Alanga started on Saturday, didn't he? So I feel like Murphy's probably going to start this one, and because of the way that Alanga's like obviously starting the criticism that he's had, I don't know. It feels like Murphy's time to shine.
Yeah, I mean they both played 45 minutes, right, on Saturday, so they both played the same amount of time. So
that's true. That's true. They did.
I mean,
Alanga did start, didn't he? Sorry, who started? I feel like
Alanga
who did start on Saturday?
Alanga started.
Alanga started and then came off at half time. Murphy.
That's it, because they both got 45 minutes, like you see. That's why I'm trying to think. But you're right.
Yeah, so they both got the same amount of time, but obviously Murphy was more productive, let's say, in his 45 minutes, and he has been all season, really. I mean, they've bought Alanga, and obviously they need to play him because they've spent that much money on him, and he's meant to be like the future of that right wing. And he's had some good games, you know. I mean, I was listening to the match reaction to Brighton, and Ben was saying that, you know, if we'd had a proper striker in some of the games, he would have had more assists, because he was really good against Barcelona. Yeah. He played well against Arsenal, and just having Gordon in that false nine, I don't think it works, to be honest, because he's not.
No, of course he doesn't.
He's not in the natural positions that you need to be to finish them off. So I think he is a good player, and I think he's good. You know, you've just said that Benfica play a high line. Alanga's his one key attribute is pace. So, you know,
True.
Murphy's no slouch either. I think it's been harsh on Murphy, the lack of minutes he's got, given how he's performed when he's played. So it's literally a toss of a coin who he goes with tomorrow. So I think it'll probably be Murphy, but I wouldn't. You know, it wouldn't be the end of the world if it's Alanga, I don't think.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I agree.
Feel the same, Darryl? You're nodding.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Agree.
Oh, nothing to add. Perfect. There we go.
Succinct, beautiful, done.
Done.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we move on to Benfica? Because
hang on. Are we just assuming Gordon's playing on the left, and that's a foregone conclusion? That's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I will say, I do think some of the criticism that Gordon's had has been, okay, he's not being good, but at the same time, he is dealing with Dan Burn at left back, and defensively, Dan Burn is really good, but then he's not overlapping, he's not making the same runs that a Tino or a Hall's going to make, and he's isolated a lot of the time. I mean, yeah, he runs into players a lot right now, and he's looking a little bit out of form, but he's still a class player, and he's shown that he's still got some form when he's playing for England, so it's not like it's just completely disappeared, this confidence, you know? Yeah. I just think it's going to take a bit of time for him to get back up to speed. And I think it was mentioned on the reaction as well, we're learning to play with a lot of new players coming in as well. And with the injuries, it's just taking a bit of time to bed in. So, you know, I'm fully expecting Headband Gordon to come into form at some point. Hopefully.
He needs a trim.
I mean, do you reckon that? If he just has a trim, that he's just going to become like Gordon Messi again?
I keep seeing these edits. It's like short hair Gordon, and it was like
short hair Gordon.
Yeah, short hair.
He needs to get himself a skinhead so he's got less wind resistance on his head.
That's probably what it is. You know, he keeps running it. Aye.
Yeah.
Aerodynamics.
Yeah. Oh well.
Right.
Let's hope we can bring that England form.
I mean, I do think that it's going to be Gordon at left wing. Barnes hasn't really shown too much, and again, Barnes is a player that's very give and go, and he's got no overlapping fullback. So, I know I just said Gordon's struggling without an overlapping fullback, but Barnes definitely will, because he doesn't have the kind of skill to get past, you know, a defending fullback quite easily. So, right, Benfica. So they're actually a bit of contrast in form with these lot, because they are smashing it in the league. They've won 5 and they've drawn 3 of their 8 games, so they haven't lost in the league so far, the third. Now, they joined the Champions League through the playoffs, actually. They beat Fenerbahce, and they were put in pot 2. And obviously, as I said before, they recently appointed Jose Mourinho in September. But, you know, their form in the Champions League hasn't been good. So they've lost to Karabakh 3-2. They were 2-0 up in that game, actually, and they completely bottled it. So they lost a 2-0 lead.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah,
they got booed. They got booed off by their own fans.
I'm not surprised it was pretty shocking.
Yeah, they got booed.
Aye.
Yeah.
And then they also lost it 1-0 to Chelsea, even though Chelsea got a red card, but it was in like the last minute, so that doesn't really count. But they still lost 1-0 to Chelsea. And I'm not going to get into loads of stats here, but one thing I did found interesting was in their league, which is obviously it's a Portuguese league. I mean, obviously you got to take it at the level it's at. They have like 60% possession on average, whereas they only had 45% against Chelsea and they had 52% against Karabakh. So naturally, what that says to me, and what probably should be obvious, is that they can dominate against these lower teams in the league, but when it comes to bigger opposition, they're struggling. And so that gives me a lot of like confidence going into this, because we're a team that when we're on top and we can get at them, I think that's when we excel best. And as I said before, they do play a high line, which will hopefully come straight into our hands and should open up a lot of space up. But in terms of their like attacking force, they've got this Greek lad, and I'm going to completely butcher this, so I'm really sorry, but it's Pavlidis. Try that. He's got 5 goals and 1 assist in the league so far. So not doing too bad. They're a pretty decent outfit. But I mean, lads, have you seen much of them? Have you seen much of the highlights? Because I was supposed to look at some of the highlights earlier. They look decent. They've got Otamendi at centre back, which is about the one player I actually recognise in the starting 11. Yeah.
No, it's just what I've seen from the Champions League campaign. To be honest, obviously they threw away that they were 2-0 up at home and then lost 3-2 to that Karabakh, which was like a monumental win for them, but obviously a massive capitulation for Benfica. And then they've brought in was pre Jose Mourinho. I think they brought him in.
That might have been the game that saw the manager off. I think.
It's been a weird one, because they obviously qualified for the Champions League by beating Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce.
Yeah, I know.
And then now they've brought him in, which is strange. But yeah, so that's the one that got the previous manager sacked, and then they've brought Jose in, and we know what Jose is like. He's I'm sure he'll come tomorrow with a game plan of sit back and hit on the brake. That's what it will be. I'm assuming because you've just
you know what it is. He's no stranger to being able to park a bus, and if he had to do it, he would. Like he really would.
Yeah,
he would not be afraid to do it. He would make it ugly.
But do you feel like because we've got the worst striker in the world, heading wise, that can only seem to score goals with his head? Do you feel like we're actually going to be good at going against low blocks now? Because when we had Isak there, that was a massive criticism that we couldn't seem to get past low blocks, and when teams sat back, we really struggled. But it feels like football's such an easy game at times. You just lump it to the big man and you just knock it in with your head, and that's how we seem to be doing with Nick Voltemada. I don't understand why people will criticise him, saying, "Oh, he doesn't really use his head too much. That's not really his game." That's how he seems to do, which is brilliant. But it means that if Benfica do end up sitting back and they don't play this high line, we've got options.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've got Big Osula on the bench as well.
And we've also got, like you say, you mentioned Big V there. We've also got him as the option as the target man, where he can hold the ball up and bring others into play. And I don't think we've seen a lot of that, but we could well see that come good tomorrow night. If Jose's got that back four sitting in, then it's going to be on Nick holding the ball up, even collecting the ball up front and then dropping to encourage people around him, or either say to get on ahead of him, and then he can turn and play a ball in. It's an option. It's there.
Yeah, I think the important thing will be, like it always is with these kind of games, get an early goal, get the crowd up, and we'll be fine. But if we don't do that, and then the crowd gets a bit tense, that's where it might become a bit difficult, and they'll grow in confidence in the game, and might hit us on the break. But I think Eddie Howe said it in the post-match interview for Brighton. We really need our wingers and midfielders to start chipping in, because Big Nick's doing all he can really with the service that he's getting. So they need to start chipping in with assists and particularly goals. Like we need some goals from other sources. So let's hope tomorrow night's the night.
100%. But again, I think these kind of nights are the ones where the midfielders could have a lot of luck and they'll have a lot more of the ball. So You know, when I watch the highlights against like Karabakh and against Chelsea, and like I say, they do open up a lot of space. And their defense is not. It doesn't look like very confident. You know, there were times where the amount of touches that like Chelsea were having in their box and was just going unopposed. I mean, when you look at how well Voltemata does in that region, and if he gets a couple of touches off, I reckon that all it takes, it wouldn't take much for him to be able to just bag one or two. So, yeah, it's pretty positive, and I'm looking forward to this. What do you lads reckon for the atmosphere tomorrow? Because I just think I think back to the game against Dortmund that we had in the Champions League, which was our second home game. And obviously, it was a bit flat, and it was pissing. I know it was pissing it down, and it was like I think people were probably still coming off the high of PSG, like we have kind of in a way against Barcelona. But do you think? I mean, I'm hoping that the crowd really is up for this because it's a massive game. It's not been that long since we had, you know, a bit of history against these. You know, it wasn't that long ago, and I feel like it's time for some revenge. And there'll be a lot of that crowd who were there on that night back in 2013. So I'm really hoping that we're up for it, man. And yeah,
I think we probably will see we get up for it because you've got to remember there's another big display from War Flags again, and they've been putting the call out for volunteers in the Gallagher end for tomorrow, haven't they? So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what they come up and they're always a massive contributor to how the atmosphere builds up before the game. And you know there'll be plenty of people who have been out and spent Tuesday afternoon out in town, sipping a few pints and that to get themselves in the mood for it, like it normally does. And I think again, it is up to us to make that difference, and we've got to be in full voice to help the lads.
Right.
And I'm just going to add in, you know, from a looking forward perspective, looking at how this season's going. At the minute, it's looking unlikely we'll be in the Champions League next year. So you just got to enjoy nights like this. You've got to really cherish and you've got to enjoy them while we can this season. Because at the minute, hopefully we get our form back and we can get in there next year. But you know, it's not looking.
But you know what it is, and I said this before. The form that we're showing in the Champions League is almost opposite to. I know it's been like 2 games, and we've lost one and won one. But I do feel like the Champions League is a great opportunity for us to show our best football, especially in this league stage where you're playing 8 teams of very different quality, different play style. A lot of it could be suited to us, and I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with a better Champions League form than we do a Premier League form over the next like couple of months. But
I think so as well.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So. Yep. Now I mentioned PSG.
Yep.
In the Champions League just before. That brings us nicely to Ref Watch, where Daryl, there's someone there who I think we've still got a little bit of beef with, and this time it's on home turf.
Yeah.
Take it away.
There's a couple of people there who we've got a bit of beef with.
Couple. There's a couple.
So yes, a couple. There's a couple. So as you mentioned, that PSG away game, the 1-1 draw with that despicable handball decision that came right at the end of the game that cost us a place, arguably in the latter stages of that Champions League campaign.
Bloody well did.
It did. Like
exactly. And so yeah, it's the team on Tuesday night will be a Polish-led team of officials by a certain Szymon Marciniak in the middle.
Oh, I knew it.
And
I knew it.
Exactly. And in the VAR room is Tomasz Kwiatkowski, and that's the exact same team that handled that game in Paris. You had Szymon in the middle of the park in Paris, and you had Tomasz in the VAR room leading the charge in there and reviewing that stupid handball decision and giving it against us.
Leading the corruption.
Exactly. But fortunately, not every part of that team is Polish because the assistant VAR is a Spanish lad. It's Cesar Sotogredo. So he's going to hopefully add a bit of calmness to that room and make sure that they're all right. And a little bit of tidbit information. Yeah, this is one for the anoraks in the audience. And I have to again thank my mate Paul, who gives us a hand with all this stuff to get me in the right sort of frame for getting pronunciations and stats and all that. So anyway, the UEFA referee observer for this game is a Norwegian chap called, and I'm going to get this wrong and butcher it completely wrong, is Terje Haag. He refereed our 3-1 win against Bayer Leverkusen all the way back in 2003. away in
Wow.
Leverkusen, which is a week
A
before that
veteran of the
home
game.
Wow.
Hey.
Exactly. And that's a week before the home game. And I'm just going to say it again because I've said it before. The home game against Leverkusen was my first ever game.
Ooh.
So there's a nice little link in there. Yeah, so Polish team of officials with two arch enemies of the club and the fan base. And I tell you what, you mentioned about what can get the atmosphere up earlier on. If he has a rick in the first 10 minutes, the place is going to lift off, like, tell you. The place will
You're
go
not
off.
fit to referee.
Yeah. I wonder how much of the crowd will actually know he's the referee from PSG.
Well, they do now.
Well, I would imagine. I would imagine 50,000. If we get 50,000 views on this, then it's going to be entirely St. James's Park. Spread the word.
Exactly. Spread the word. Let your pals know it's the same guy that screwed over in Paris there.
Right. Now, before we get on to anything else, I'm actually going to bring in a wee couple of quiz questions for you lads.
Oh, here we go.
And they are centered around our previous fixtures against Benfica all the way back in the Europa League 2012-13 season, as those watching on YouTube can see. There it is. First question is, Cisse scored our goal at home in the 1-1 draw, the reverse fixture, but who scored in the away fixture for us when we lost 3-1?
Can I answer? No.
Tell you what, actually, that's a good question. Yeah, go on. I'll give this one to you, Nickel. Do you know?
Was it? It was him again? No? It was Cisse again.
Darryl, what do you think? Yeah, I'm going to have to push you for time here, mate.
I've got Sylvain Marveau in my head, but I have.
Ooh, now that is an absolutely terrible answer because Nickel was correct. It was Cisse. It was a trick question. Cisse got both goals in fixtures.
There you go.
Yeah. Sorry, mate, but yeah, it was. Right, and second question was, can you name the two starting centre backs for us in the home fixture? 2012-13 season. So hang on, I'll let you have one each. So because Nickel got it right, I'm going to give Darryl, you get first pick with this one. Name me one of the two starting centre backs.
Steven Taylor.
Ooh.
Wrong. Nickel.
Okay. Mapu, Younger, and Biwa.
Spot on. I'm actually surprised you got that one first because I thought the other centre back would be a little bit more obvious. Darryl, I'm going to give you a chance of redemption. Who partnered Younger and Biwa?
I'm going to get it wrong when I say Colaccini, aren't I?
Yeah, you are, mate.
I know it. I think I know it.
Go on.
I know.
Put him out of his misery.
Is it Big Mike?
Big Mike, Iron Mike Williamson. It was
Iron Mike. Wow.
Yes.
There you go.
Get in.
100%. Happy days. Tell you what. I'm going to throw in a bonus question. And Darryl, this is going to be next goal wins. If you can name
Oh, no way. Come on.
No. If he can name me who scored for Benfica in the 1-1 draw, I'm giving you the win.
Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, God.
You're not going to get it. Like, I've got it up here.
Not.
You're not going to get it.
Nah, no names for you. Sorry.
Fair enough. Michael Salvio, midfielder.
Salvio.
Nah.
Oh, I would have got that. I knew that.
Yeah, of course. I took me a tongue out. Can you name those? Can you name those Polish referees that we've got?
Oh no,
so you're so good at it.
Don't think so. I'll take the quiz win though.
Fair enough. Brilliant. Right, now, before we get into the predictions, just want to give a quick plug to say, if you haven't already, please subscribe and become a member subscribing is free, but if you want to become a member for $2.99, you get a bunch of extra content and early access to videos such as this to the channel. It really helps us a lot and keeps us going, so it's much appreciated, and thank you to all those who are members currently. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Right. Predictions, which is always the best part. Now, Darryl, because you lost, just lost, horrifically in the quiz.
Aye.
I'm going to
Nowhere
give
way to put it.
just lost. I'm going to give you first dibs on this one. So, what are your predictions, mate? What do you think?
Well, you know what it is. They're not going to do what I've just done and lose. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I'm going to have Gordon and Big V on the goals.
Get in.
Lush. Nico, what are you thinking?
Well, I was going to go for 2. I was going to go for 2-1, but because Daryl said it, and because I've just won the quiz 3-0, I'm going to go 3-0 the lads. Come on, the boys.
I get it.
I'm going to go for 2 Voltemata goals and 1 from Harvey Barnes off the bench.
Nice. How then, Joe?
Well, I'm going to go for somewhere in the middle. I'm going to say 2-0. I reckon we're going to keep a clean sheet with this one. It's going to bite me in the arse, but from what I've seen, Benfica, they just don't look like they're really firing too much, especially in the Champions League. I just think we're going to have enough there too much for them. Honestly, I do. And like I said before, with the space that we're probably going to be getting around their box, Big V's got to get a goal. And I'm actually going to say, despite the fact I said Murphy's probably going to start this game, I actually think that it could be Elanga's time to shine off the bench. And it's what you said earlier, Nickel, about the fact that he's got pace, and it could be a game that really is up his alley. So yeah, I'm going to say Elanga, whether he's off the bench or whether he starts, gets a goal as well, and that'll tidy us up nicely and put us in good form for Fulham on Saturday, because God knows we need it.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope we can get a good positive result. We've got a big week ahead. We've got Fulham at home, then we've got Spurs in the cup. If we can progress,
massive.
If we can get 3 points in both of these 2 games in the Champions League and Premier League, and then progress to the cup, your season's looking a lot different then, in a week's time. 100%. So,
Yeah, and we've got lads to come back as well. We've got like Wizard to come back. Ramsey's going to get back to full fitness. It's just we've just got to get through these games and just try and manage it the best we can. And the big man here is, I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to do it.
Wait, hang on. There it is. That one.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Even though he barely played, I just need Elanga to channel his inner Ben Arthur and just get them a new one.
Can I just say on that shirt, is the names as far apart as it looks on screen? Because it looks like Ben Arthur. It looks like 2 different.
It's a wee bit far apart, but yeah, it's like it's what it is.
Covers the whole shirt, doesn't it? Because he didn't have a hyphen. He didn't have a hyphen, did he?
No. He's got 2 names, hasn't he? He's got two names.
Lovely shirt, though. Lovely shirt.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's it was good times at Europa League campaign, and it was a shame that we finished the way we did. But I remember the atmosphere being great on that game against Benfica, and despite the fact that we couldn't get over the line, the lads did so well. It was quarters as well. I think Chelsea won that, if I'm not mistaken, the whole thing. I think they beat Benfica in the final, didn't they? Actually,
I think so. Yeah, because there
was talk of. I remember watching the final, and we're talking about that curse that had been put on Benfica that they would never win anything.
Yeah, I want to say
by somebody
Branislav Ivanovic got the goal. I feel like he scored a header or something.
Speaking of that campaign, the vivid memory that I have from that campaign is the home game against Angie.
That was a great game.
It was against Cisse. It was that when Cisse again, like 93 minutes.
It was like it had been 0-0 out there. We brought them back here. It was 0-0. You're getting into 93rd out with 94 minutes, and I remember
was it Anzi Makalele?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Angie McCatchkala. And then
you had Eto as well, didn't you? And then that big lad, I don't know what he's called. Eto, and then there was another lad that was.
So, as that game was winding down in the end, and I'm sitting next to my mate Paul and my other mate Dave, then we just said we just one more ball in, and then Marvel puts the shot in and CC scores. It's just one of them things. Timed it right with saying it, and it happened.
That game against Benfica. We're just talking back of that Europa League. I sent you that picture in the group chat of me when I was younger. I was at that game, and I remember chatting to Benfica. Yeah, I was still 6 foot back then as well.
12-year-old.
But just talking to Benfica fans outside the ground. I think I was, however old I was, and it was really good. So hopefully it's like a similar atmosphere. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them since that that night. So
That's of course. Well, that's what you want. You want to bring people into your city and outside of the 90 minutes, just like take care of them. Like I remember, when Dortmund came along. Obviously not PSG, like fuck them lot, but Dortmund were canny fans. They were great.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many of them travel over.
Good point. I mean, they've got a good following, haven't they? So I wouldn't be surprised. All right, let's see how we get on.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to obviously when we get to it in a few weeks now, but I'm looking forward to PSV coming over because that'll be a nice atmosphere.
Oh, that'll be canny. I think that's in January, isn't it? So that'll be good. But anyway,
obviously, who else is it again? Sorry, Athletic Bilbao. That'll be great as well because we're mates with them, aren't we?
I got some. Well, yes.
Don't tell them I
Well, we're going to be doing a reaction video coming out post Benfica, so hopefully we're our smiling faces like the lads on Monday night, and we'll dissect it as and when it comes. But for now, thanks you very much for watching. I've been your host, Joe. Nickel and Daryl have been my guests tonight, joining me, and thank you lads very much. Let's see how we get on. And hopefully we can crack on and get this form back up and running. Cheers, everyone. See you soon.